Blog Talk Radio. bensound.com. Welcome, everyone, to today's Earth Energy Forecast Show on this February 19th, 2019. I am your host, Joan Serio. Thank you for joining me today. Today happens to be a super full snow moon in Virgo. It was at its fullest at 10:53 a.m. Eastern Time this morning. The moon is the closest to Earth it will come all year. It was accompanied by the star Regulus from the constellation Leo. I hope you had a chance to see it last night. I did, and it was spectacular. In today's show, I will start with giving you my energy insight and then update you on the latest Earth changes. It is becoming more and more evident that not only are the Earth changes coming more rapidly and becoming more extreme, but our lives are changing more rapidly as well. Here is my energy insight for the week. Mercury entered shadow yesterday, getting ready to go retrograde on March 5th. Sometimes its shadow period is more potent than the actual Mercury retrograde period. Just yesterday, my netbook wouldn't boot up, and it had to go through a repair cycle. Oh, the joys of Mercury retrograde. The Rees are already returning. This one should be a doozy. Mercury is conjunct Neptune in Pisces in the 11th house. Mercury has air energy and likes to go fast. Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, a water sign. Air doesn't move fast in water. Both of them are in the 11th house, which can bring sudden electrical changes. Can you say a short circuit? No wonder I've been feeling a little disconnected. You may feel a bit scattered and spacey, as Mercury and Neptune can present that way, or you may have a spiritual revelation. Pay close attention to your dreams as well. Expect more sparking and short-circuiting of these things, especially since Uranus is at the last degree of Aries, called the critical degree. Aries is a fire sign. Watch for sudden, unexpected news and flare-ups. We are gearing up for Uranus entering Taurus in 2 weeks. You will feel the buildup of energy, or it may feel like a buildup of pressure. In either case, the safety valve will likely release in the first week of March. This full moon in Virgo is bringing something tangible to completion, whether it is a health issue that can no longer be ignored, or some job or work that has served its purpose. At the same time, some of your beliefs may be on the chopping block. If you felt exhausted, you're not alone. Since the beginning of this year, all planets have been direct. It's been full steam ahead. With Mercury going retrograde in 2 weeks, things will finally slow down a bit. I, for one, am looking forward to it. Let's move on now to the latest Earth update. Let's start with last year's weather. It was recently published that 2018 was the fourth warmest year on record. A new study from the University of Maryland Center for Environmental Science projects that in 1 generation, the climate of North American cities will migrate hundreds of miles south. So don't start packing quite yet. I know it is in a generation, but you may want to think this out. So this is what it means. That by the 2080s, New York's weather will become like northern Arkansas. If you live in San Fran, it's going to feel like LA. And if you're in the beltway of DC, it'll feel more like northern Mississippi. Extreme weather around the world has already been responsible for breaking records this year. This winter brought record snow in Seattle, record cold temperatures across the Midwest, and Hawaii, where the record low reached 14 degrees Fahrenheit. That brought with it snow, along with the highest reported wind gust of 191 miles an hour there. Europe had record low temperatures, and now the UK may have the warmest February on record. Many cities in the West and Midwest are set to break snow records by this week's end. Western Canada had record cold and snow, and Toronto broke the daily snow record in January. Record snow has fallen in Lake Tahoe. Other parts of California had deadly flash floods last month, and their threat continues along with the threat of mudslides. In Siberia, black snow is falling. The snow is tainted with black, toxic coal dust released from open coal pits and factories. Not pretty and not healthy. Going south of the equator, deadly flash floods in Rio resulted in landslides when some areas received more than the February average rainfall in just a few hours. In Indonesia, above average rainfall caused mudslides, which resulted in the death of 4 people. Australia experienced record heat on January 24th when Adelaide hit a record high of 116 degrees Fahrenheit. This record heat is unfortunately responsible for the death of many wild horses, along with 200 fruit bats, also called flying foxes in Victoria. I like that name, flying foxes. I just don't think of bats when I hear that, but in Queensland, 500,000 cattle that had once survived years of drought perished in the floods this month. So sad. Moving farther south, scientists recently discovered that the Thwaites Glacier in Antarctica has a huge hole wider than Manhattan, 1,000 feet high, and 6 miles long beneath it. The glacier is melting from the bottom up also, and scientists are concerned that it may become unstable and melt so quickly that it will unleash enough water to raise the global sea levels by 10 feet. Ice in Antarctica is melting 6 times faster than it did in the 1980s. In Greenland, tons of methane gas below the ice sheet is being released. The carbon-containing material below the ice is being converted to methane by anaerobic bacteria. This release may add to the warming of the atmosphere. Methane, CH4, is the third most important greenhouse gas after water vapor and carbon dioxide. However, methane is 20 to 28 times more powerful than carbon dioxide in its effects. I imagine that the organisms that once roamed and grew there got trapped during the last ice age and are providing the fuel for the methane production currently. A study published January 28th in Nature Geoscience suggests that a weakened geomagnetic field may be the cause of mass extinction over 500 million years ago. When the Earth's magnetic field is at its lowest, solar radiation easily penetrates Earth's atmosphere, eroding her atmosphere, quickly evaporating her water, and depleting her oxygen. This ancient event may have led to large-scale economic collapse. Think of the Earth's magnetic field like the force field around the Starship Enterprise. If her shields are low, it's vulnerable to outside attack. Similarly, when Earth's magnetic field is low, she is susceptible to the sun's fury. Currently, the Earth's magnetic field is weakening, and many scientists and others who study this think that the Earth may be headed for a pole reversal. Popo volcano in Mexico on Valentine's Day erupted. Currently, there are 21 volcanoes erupting around the world. On February 13th, there was a 5.8 earthquake in New Zealand and a 6.0 earthquake in Papua New Guinea on February 17th. Geologists say that California is overdue for a large earthquake. We will watch for more volcanic and earthquakes in the coming weeks, as Uranus will go back into Taurus around March 6th. Last May, the day Uranus first ingressed into Taurus, Kilauea erupted for days. When it last entered Taurus, we experienced the Great Depression and World War II. With Uranus, you can expect the unexpected and extreme ways of waking us up. Taurus rules money, so watch for more swings in the stock market and changes in the monetary system over the next 7 to 8 years. On February 10th, thousands filled the streets of Bucharest, Romania, to demand the resignation of their government. Venezuela and Haiti are also going through their own version of governmental unrest. A recent report of the dwindling worldwide insect population is alarming scientists. Estimated that insects across the world are dying 8 times faster than mammals and could become extinct in 100 years. Scientists say this bug apocalypse stems mainly from industrial farming using chemical pesticides, climate change, along with urbanization, habitat loss, disease, and the introduction of invasive species. They claim we have entered the first mass extinction since the dinosaurs. Insects are hardy souls and are hard to kill, as most of us gardeners and hikers know. Because of their sturdy nature, most scientists feel they won't be totally eradicated. Over the last decade, 53% of the butterfly population has decreased and 46% of bees. We need bees to pollinate our crops. The world has experienced 5 mass extinctions, and we are in the 6th major extinction right now. Biologists estimate that 41% of amphibious species and over 25% of mammals may soon go extinct. Over 26,000 species are threatened with extinction. Adding insult to injury, last year the U.S. EPA approved the use of sulfoxaflor, an insecticide that agency considers highly toxic to bees, to be used on 16 million acres of crops known to attract bees, such as sorghum and cotton. For 4 consecutive years, it allowed the use of this deadly insecticide. EPA's Office of the Inspector General reported a report that stated that the EPA did not effectively measure the risks to human health or the environment it is sworn to protect prior to using the sulfoxaflor. It's not my intent to get political on this show, and there are numerous examples of the United States EPA consciously adding to the pollution of this country. In a world where humans have had their way with Mother Earth, it's past time to wake up to the cataclysm that we have created. Here are the current top environmental problems plaguing our planet. 1. Air, water, and soil pollution. Factory and automobile exhaust are the number 1 culprits of air pollution. Topping the soil pollution list are heavy metals, nitrates, and plastics. Oil spills, acid rain, urban runoff, and the use of pesticides and other toxic chemicals pollute our waters. Our oceans are littered with trash and plastic change. I will not include global warming, as many climatologists do. I will save that discussion for another day, but climate change is real. As I just talked about, the melting of the polar ice caps can be attributed to climate change. As these melt, it causes an increase in sea levels, which in turn affects the Gulf Stream and our weather patterns. 3. Overpopulation. Currently, there are over 7 billion people living on Earth today. 4. Natural resource depletion, especially the amount of fossil fuel consumption. 5. Waste. Landfills full of plastics and other non-biodegradable substances and nuclear waste top the list. There is a huge problem with where and how to safely dispose of spent fuel rods from nuclear power plants across the world. 6. Loss of biodiversity. As I just discussed, we are in the 6th major extinction, and the human disturbance of the delicate ecosystem balance, the destruction of habitat, and the destruction of coral reefs are adding to the rate of extinction. Some of this is due to climate change, and some of it is natural. 7. Deforestation. Trees take in CO2 and expel oxygen. As we down trees, we remove nature's carbon dioxide remover. 8. Ocean acidification from excess carbon dioxide production. 9. Ozone depletion. Our ozone layer is being depleted by chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs. The ozone layer prevents ultraviolet light radiation, solar radiation, from penetrating the Earth and reaching us here on the ground. 10. Urban sprawl, which takes natural habitats, increases pollution and health issues. 11. Increase in viral and bacterial diseases and the creation of superbugs from the overuse of antibiotics in our food source and also medically. 12. GMOs, genetically modified organisms that increase toxins and disease in plants and animals. Oh, by the way, we are the animals, too. All of the above, except for climate change, are the result of man-made mania. Man is added to greenhouse gases, but man is not solely responsible for climate change. Some say it's too late to save the planet. We have the ability to decimate this world, and if it's not too late, we have the ability to save it. And we need all countries and all peoples around the world to work together to accomplish this. The reason why I wanted to share this information today is that we need to pay attention to what is happening. We also need to consider what may be coming in the near future. Just think about how many lives have been impacted within the last year by the fires and floods in California, hurricanes in the Gulf and East Coast, snowstorms across the country, tornadoes in the heartland, and the list goes on, and that's just for the United States. Yes, these have always been happening. The difference is in the frequency and severity of these events. In the not-so-distant future, we may not be able to continue living in the way that we have, given all of these changes. I feel it's time to start a dialogue about how we can live more consciously during these rapidly changing times. This dialogue and movement started at grassroots level. We cannot rely on governments to lead the way. They are too slow, and many are in too much turmoil. We will see more governmental and societal changes as the year progresses with the upcoming Saturn-Pluto conjunction. Will our society be able to continue with the current economic model of going to work for corporations? Will we even be able to commute to work? What will we need to produce in order for us to live through these changes? Think of all the people last year that lost their homes in a matter of minutes due to floods, hurricanes, and fires, and the thousands of others that went without power for long periods of time. Do you know what you would do? Will FEMA have enough money to continue to send aid and provide low-interest loans? What would you do if you lost your home? Do you have a plan in place in case you lose power for a few days or weeks? Do you have enough food, water, batteries, flashlights, radios, hygiene products, medication, etc.? What skills will you need to learn? Who will teach them? And how will they be available? It's time to ask these questions, and more importantly, to act on the answers. Remember all the talk in 2012 about how the world as we have known it is ending. We can continue on the way we have been and pretend that everything's okay, or we can accept that we are living in times of unprecedented change and that we also need to change. This is not about going into fear. It's about having the faith that we have the ingenuity, the technology, the will, and the heart to make it through these times together. We have the know-how and the means to clean up our planet, to convert to renewable energy, to create viable, self-contained communities that live consciously and in concert with Mother Earth. We are at the cusp of making huge strides in technology. Just recently, scientists developed a 3D printer for cell tissue regeneration of tendons and ligaments. Nanotechnology is making it possible to shrink the size of solar panels and to find new ways to treat forms of cancer. Scientists are working on converting polyolefin, a type of plastic, into usable products such as clean fuels. There is much to talk about and much we can do proactively to prepare for more of these changes. Today's show is meant to get you to think about what this means for you, to act on it, and also to lay the groundwork for future shows to come to continue this dialogue. If you have information or a skill that you would like to share on the show, please leave a comment or use the contact page of my website, joanserio.com. I may also schedule evening shows for listeners to call in. It's time to work together and live more consciously on Mother Earth. If you enjoy what you hear on Earth Energy Forecast, you can help support the show by going to the homepage of my website, joanserio.com, and clicking on the donate button. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you for joining me today on Earth Energy Forecast and for being here at this time of great change. Much love, everyone.